Hi, good afternoon. It's about 12:25. This is Lauren with the National Weather Service. We will get started here in a few minutes. Hi, good afternoon again. This is Lauren at the Weather Service. We'll get started here in about 2 minutes. All right, good afternoon, everybody. This is Lauren with the National Weather Service. I see I have a few more people than I did yesterday, so really quickly, I'm going to go over our new audio procedures. If you are seeing my screen and you are using your computer audio, I will unmute everybody at the end of the webinar, and you will have to click the little orange microphone button to unmute. If you are in the webinar viewing my screen and dialing in via your phone with an audio pin, you will have to do *6 to unmute after I unmute. If you are only listening to me and not viewing the screens, you will not be able to ask questions, but you can always call the office or chat us after this is over. You can also use the question pane in the GoToWebinar panel. If you have any problems, questions, comments, feel free to post them in there. I'll get to them at the end, or if I see them, I'll get to them in the middle. So with that, I'm going to start off of the PowerPoint. Actually, we're going to talk a little bit about what's going on right now. In case anybody's wondering, this is radar scope. It costs money. I just have it on my background, so it's just a little easier for me to use because I'm used to it. So what I'm showing over here coming out of Texas into Louisiana, that's the line that's going to strengthen as it moves east. That's going to be the main severe weather threat that we are going to be focusing on today. But I also want to focus on what's going on over here right now as well. These are the kind of discrete individual cells that we were worried about forming in the early afternoon. These tornado warnings over here, they have already produced a tornado, so we're already off to an early start with the tornadoes. Right now, we're looking good over our area, just some scattered showers. There is a chance something that develops in this southeast Louisiana area could be strong in the next 1 to 3 hours, but our main focus is going to be that line. So I'm going to go out of that, and we're going to look at Storm Prediction Center right now. Recently issued a couple tornado watches. I know this is kind of small if you're viewing it on the screen, but you guys can always go to the website and look at it. There's a gap right now in the watches between those discrete individual cells and that line that's coming into Louisiana. And then as you can see, pretty much our entire warning area is out, but we're essentially blocked in, so we'll be next over the next 1 to 2 hours. As that line gets closer, we'll be in touch with the Storm Prediction Center, and we'll likely fill in that gap with a tornado watch, again, by early this afternoon. Something to note, this really large tornado watch that stretches from southeast Mississippi all the way up to northern Alabama, that's a particularly dangerous situation tornado watch. That's like their enhanced tornado watch. It's about the strongest wording they can give on a tornado watch. So that's just something to keep in mind if you have family or friends up there, but also that butts right up to our Mississippi counties. So when we're looking at things that are that close to us, it's important to think about that sometimes those, tornadoes don't know boundaries. Tornadoes don't know where these lines are. So that's something to keep in mind. We don't see anything right now on their mesoscale discussions to alert us. They have just issued a new one, so it looks like they're probably going to fill in that gap north of us soon with the watch, and then we'll be next over the next 1 to 2 hours. I'm going to jump in the slide deck now. I'm probably going to go back one more time before we're done, but let's go ahead and run through some of these. Our summary slide for today, as you can see, we were upgraded to that moderate risk, which is a 4 out of 5. And then as we scale down to the south, we go moderate enhanced to slight. The bottom line here, the entire area from the tip of St. Bernard and Jefferson Parish on the south, all the way up to our Mississippi and Northwest Louisiana counties, you should prepare for strong to severe storms today. All modes are possible: tornadoes, damaging wind gusts, large hail. Something that also got bumped up today, we talked a little bit about this yesterday, but parts of the area, especially north of the interstates, even more, especially up in that moderate risk area, they are talking about the wording of damaging wind gusts over 75 miles an hour, possibility of hail 2 inches or larger, and they have mentioned long track strong tornadoes as a possibility today. We have the main threat anytime between this afternoon with those storms ahead of the line, and then we have the line moving through later this evening. I know there's a question that came through on email for me real quick about that timing in Mississippi. We're going to get to that here in a couple slides. So before we get into the severe, let's talk about 2 quick things. Rainfall, overall less than 1 inch. Now remember, these storms, they're moving quickly, but they're also in a north to south line, so you could get 1 to 2 inches in a quick amount of time when those thunderstorms do arrive. We aren't expecting any widespread, long-lived flash flooding or river flooding. The other thing we have out right now is a wind advisory for most of the area, the southern portion of the area, 25 to 35 mile per hour winds with higher gust. That's what's also going to enhance some of these damage wind speeds. If you take a regular thunderstorm with strong winds and you add that 20 to 30 miles per hour, it helps enhance that damage. So now we'll get into the Storm Prediction Center's risk levels. You can see where the moderate and the enhanced covers. The enhanced comes all the way south through New Orleans with the slight risk for the rest of the area. Nothing new here. This is what we've been sharing on social media. All impacts are possible, including those stronger long track tornadoes. Also to note, remember what I talked about yesterday, how close we were to that moderate risk. You know, that high risk is just a few counties to our north as well. So if you're in that top tier Mississippi counties, I'd really be on alert today. We showed this yesterday. I'm going to leave this in the slide deck so you guys can continue to refer to it. One thing I like about this, I want to point out to you in the second to right column, when we get down to that high risk, these are very intense storms you may experience only once or twice in a lifetime, and that moderate risk once per year or less. So just wanted to point that out and how different this event is from other severe weather events that we've seen in the South. Now, a lot of people have talked to me today, and you guys probably know when we get these risks right to our north, typically a lot of the storms will form in our area and then track north and northeast. That's possible as well, but we still want to make sure, the fact that these could go severe and they could drop a tornado very quickly after they form, even if they're within a line. I showed this tornado probability yesterday, and again, these aren't my favorite graphics to show, but I want to point out a couple things. We're still in that 5 to 10 to 15% range for tornadoes, and that hatched area, which we didn't have yesterday, is specifically pointing out the chance of a higher than an EF2 tornado. So you can see a lot of our enhanced risk and our moderate risk is within that hatched area. This is the same graphic before, but we're looking at damaging wind speeds. Similar situation here, 10% chance of greater than 75 miles per hour in that hatched area. That corresponds roughly to that enhanced area. And then hail as well, you can see it's not as the highest threat, but we still have a chance in our northern tier Louisiana and Mississippi counties to have some larger hail. So this is the timing slide that we've been sending out to the public. I had a question about this because I'm just going to skip slides real quick so you can guys see what I'm talking about. I am going to give you a little bit more of a detailed timing, but this is what we've been sending out to the public. My slide matches this, but I want you guys to send this to the public. Somebody asked about this coastal Mississippi one. Notice how we go 2 to 7, 6 to 11, but then we kind of backtrack with coastal Mississippi. That's because we're watching out for those early storms right in that area along the coast that could potentially tap into a better environment. That's the only reason it says 2 p.m. and it says that right there, a few storms could develop ahead of the line. So if you want to share something to the public, give them a map, give them this, give them their graphic. It's on our social media. For those of you looking for a little bit more detail, I know I showed this yesterday. I'm just going to show it again. Very, very, very little changes here. This is with that main line. So this is not talking about those individual storms ahead of it. So we're still looking at the farthest west here, about 2 to 4 p.m. when that line gets through. That line moves east around the east and west Baton Rouge as we get into St. Helena, Livingston, probably 3 to 6 p.m. I know that's right around bus time. So just remember, there can be some buffer room around these times. I did hedge a little earlier just in case on this one. Then as we get to like the central portion of the area, Tangi, Washington, Orleans, the northern part of some of St. Charles and Jefferson, more after sunset, 6 to 9 p.m. As we get into the coastal regions into Mississippi, we're looking at that 8 p.m. to midnight, and then exiting Jackson County to the east by midnight to 2 a.m. So these times still fit in within the graphic and before. That graphic before is just a better visual for the public. But that's why we have that 2 p.m. to 1 a.m. on that graphic, is because of those earlier storms. I understand the confusion there though. So last slide here, situation overview. Again, 4 out of 5 moderate risk for a lot of the area, enhanced for most of the area. Everywhere should plan for strong to severe storms, and the chance that we could get some significant severe storms out of that. I do want to make one little personal plea here. If you guys are starting to get damage reports, we will take anything. Those damage reports are incredibly, incredibly vital to us. They help us gauge if we want to continue to issue the warnings or cancel the warnings, or what to do, farther east, wherever those storms do move. So whatever you guys can give us, chat, social media, especially Twitter. If you tag us on Twitter, we'll definitely see that. Give us a call. We'll be here all evening, all afternoon. So I'm going to do two things real quick. All right, so I have stopped the recording for any questions and I have unmuted everybody. Again, you can press the mute button on the GoToWebinar panel to turn from orange to green. You can ask a question. You can *6 under that. Somebody asked about Central Mississippi. I don't think I have a full, let me look at where my, here's the full graphic. So the Jackson Metro is going to be closer to the moderate to enhanced risk if you're looking that far north. Oh, I know one other thing I was going to show you. I'm going to show you all this real quick. This isn't on the recording, which is perfect. I hate showing model guidance like this because this is one of, I don't know, 10 different models we can use. But I just want to kind of show you what we think of how this is going to evolve today. So this is 1 o'clock. You can see all those discrete individual cells already forming. And now as we get to 3 o'clock, we see that line starting to come together. It doesn't, sometimes when you look at these models, it looks really messy, but what we see is these individual cells, which means they can be pretty strong. So as we move forward, that line is going to continue, kind of stretches out from a southwest to northeastern line. Don't be fooled by any gaps in this line. Again, this is just one of many, many choices. I'm just trying to show you how this is all going to evolve. Still some storms out ahead of it possible in Mississippi as we move into Alabama. And then as we get closer to sunset, interesting enough, after about 7 or 8 o'clock, we could see a little bit more strengthening as we move east into Mississippi. So that just kind of gives you an idea of why my timing graphics were tilted a little bit, because that's how the line is going to evolve. Someone asked about the recording. So the recording is going to be available, if you guys don't know. You guys all should be unmuted too if you want to ask anything while we're talking through this. If you go to our, oh, not that one, sorry. That's where I thought it was. If you go to our website and go to current hazards briefing page, we will have the recording here and the slides here under those two right there. Might take a little bit while to get the recording up. They've been kind of big files, so we've had to do some work on them. But this is a great page if you ever want to look at it also.
I have a question.
About
you have a second?
Slides will be there.
Who had the question?
This is Dane Maxwell, Public Service Commission, Southern District. I'm getting text messages that there's a tornado on the ground in Wayne County around Waynesboro and Shabuda. Do you have any knowledge of that?
Is that this one?
That's south of Marie. I'm on the phone. I'm not on the where I can see the slides, but
so we do have
it's on the Alabama line.
Yep. So there's been some tornado warnings on that, and they did do a radar confirmed tornado. So I'm unsure if there is still a tornado on the ground. I'd have to probably look at some things, but there was at least indications of a tornado on the ground. So there was somewhere in here. I'm just not as dialed into that area and what's going on there. But yeah, there were reports of a tornado there for sure.
Okay, thank you.
Was there somebody else on there? All right, I'm just playing around now. Well, if you guys have any questions, I'll be here for a few more seconds, but if not, that'll be it. And we should have the recording out here in the next, probably 30 minutes. Thank you all.